Okay, right there.
You've achieved a lot in your life. Do you have ambitions that you'd still like to achieve?
Well, I'm still teaching my students. I've had 5 animal behavior PhDs that I've gotten through college. Still keep planning on doing those sorts of things. I'm doing a lot of talks. You know, I've had kids write to me and say the movies motivated them that they can really succeed. That's really a good thing. I'm still doing my livestock stuff. And this trip has been more livestock than it has been autism. Because I think it's really important that I have a real job. I'm really getting concerned about these young Asperger kids, you know, just where autism has become a fixation. Because when I work in a technical field, there's all kinds of undiagnosed people with mild autism out in Silicon Valley, you know, running some of the most important companies in the world. You know, so one geek goes to Silicon Valley, another geek goes to Hollywood, another geek is playing video games on Social Security. That makes me a little crazy. Because sometimes there's not enough expectations for behavior. When I was a young child, there were expectations of being on time, getting up in the morning, getting dressed, not causing a disturbance in church, sitting at Sunday dinner and behaving. Now, Mother realized that she couldn't put me into sensory environments I just couldn't tolerate. But most of the places where this behavior was expected were not noisy. My grandmother's house was not noisy. Okay?
Yeah. I think that celebrity and being famous and having everybody's adulation is tough on just anybody. And how do you deal with it? Because autistic people don't like human contact. You're
well,
a
I
teacher.
consider it a responsibility. You know, you're always on display all the time, getting recognized in the airport, and I kind of almost approach it like a job. It's a responsibility. You know, I've got to make sure I behave myself. Okay.
A lot of what you say sounds applicable to most people. I mean, everybody should learn better.
Well, the thing is,
do you think it is?
See, the problem is that today's kind of looser society, and maybe this has gotten worse in the States than it has here, where you're not, you know, rigidly taught social skills. I think it hurts the autistic kids more than it hurts the normal kids.
But do you think for the normal kids that what you've been describing is helpful methods for autistic children?
Well, yeah, absolutely,
really
because I mean, it's normal kids. I'm appalled when I go to these meetings, the number of kids that don't know how to shake hands. You know, autistic kids, you just got to show them how hard to squeeze. No, you don't rip their arm off. No, you don't hand them a dead fish. You got to demonstrate to them. I don't tell them, I demonstrate. Okay, now I'm going to squeeze like this. Okay, now you squeeze me back just that amount of pressure. Okay, now. And then he does it too hard. And I say, okay, now we just. And you just show them. That's how I was taught. But I'm just appalled at the number of kids, that real high-functioning kids, have been taught to shake hands. They go to take a picture, they grab me in a really inappropriate, hard, in a really inappropriate manner, because nobody's shown them, you know, what's appropriate. They just got to be shown. They got to learn all their social stuff like being in a play. And the only way to learn these things is out in the real environment. Okay, we're having a meal and I'm eating mashed potatoes with my hands. Well, let's say use a fork. Okay?
You talked about a couple of times about teasing that you had.
No, it's terrible. Teenage years, worst part of my life.
And also the importance of the sort of turn-taking and the fact that the ones who didn't tease were the ones who had a shared interest.
That's right. And those were refuges away from teasing.
Yeah. So my question is, at what age do you think it's appropriate to start to talk to all children about autism in order to increase their awareness of it and to change attitudes?
Probably 3rd or 4th grade. One of the things that was done, that would be like 7, 8 years old. I think your grades are the same here. When I was in grade school, when I wasn't there to teach, she would explain to the other kids that, you know, if you're in a wheelchair, obviously you can see what the handicap is. Back in the 50s, a lot of kids had polio, so kids had braces on their legs. Okay, then you know what handicap is. An autistic kid has a handicap, but it's not visible the same way a wheelchair would be. And elementary school actually went fairly, I had some problems, but that was a walk in the park compared to high school. Because kids teased me, I reacted by fighting. I got kicked out of ninth grade when I was 14 for throwing a book, and ended up going to a special boarding school. And and after I got horseback riding taken away for 2 weeks, I switched from anger to crying. I couldn't control emotion, so I switched emotion. And I've had parents say, well, I've got a boy who's really good at computer programming and he cries. I get good. Crybaby geeks can get good jobs to keep. Yeah, I have a slide that I normally show my PowerPoint presentation, and it shows a space shuttle. A caption is, it's okay for geeks to cry. Because I saw a 65-year-old NASA space scientist cry at a high school career day. Because he talked about being an aerospace engineer because the shuttle's being canceled. And he was crying by the end of that talk. And I get choked up about this. He was showing beautiful pictures of the space shuttle with just an automatic showing behind him. And, if he hadn't learned how to cry, he wouldn't have had that job. Because if you're throwing things, you're not going to learn from acids. It's that simple. Or any other kind of company. And that's what I did. I switched to crying. Sometimes I get the giggles really, really loud. One time I was on a plane and they had a movie, it's called The Freshman. And they had a big lizard in an elevator in a fancy hotel, a glass elevator. And I got to laughing so hard that people on the plane were turning around. Okay, it was right here. Someone had to find it right there. Okay, right there.
You spoke about the very explicit teaching.
Yeah.
You must have been taught hundreds of those things, but once you've been taught them or once you've done them, is it something you find you always have to think about?
No, I don't have to think about it. They were just pounded in. You say please, say thank you, or you don't push in the line. Go in the store, and if I touch something, I wasn't going to buy it, I said, touch merchandise. If you're going to buy it, run behind the counter. Even now, like if I go behind the counter, I'm still, seeing Woolworths down in Massachusetts, where I was told not to go behind the counter, only the clerks can go behind the counter. It was all done by specific example, out in the real environment. If I ran behind the counter, I was told I couldn't run behind the counter. If I was handling merchandise I wasn't going to buy, I was told not to handle it. We go in the store, we try clothes on, we have to be very careful with them. And we only tried on things when we really were going to buy stuff. And I'd have to maybe try 2 or 3 different sizes. But you always ended up buying stuff. You didn't just go in the store and try stuff on just to try it on. You had to buy stuff.
The much more subtle session you mentioned you were learning some.
Well, I had problems with that. And this is the sort of thing where videos would really be helpful. Where you watch videos. Or, also books, you see, none of the books existed when I was a kid. Now there's books I can read that are, totally helpful. Okay?
You talk every now and then saying that you just have to imagine you're in play and for social skills. Would you actually recommend, maybe teaching drama skills or maybe?
Well, I think that, some people on the spectrum are really good at acting in plays. There are some of the verbal people, kind of Asperger's, they're really good at it. It's stage acting. That's actually good because they have to learn how to act in a play. But you got to practice these things. You got to take them out to restaurants and they got to practice, ordering food. If you're on a low budget, well then you just get a coffee or you just get a cold drink or something. You just go in and buy one little thing in the store just to get the practice of the interaction. You got to walk to the train station and buy the tickets. You just got to learn that stuff by doing. Now when mistakes are made, the parent or the teacher shouldn't be screaming no. You just walk up. Let's say I ran through the window at the train station. You'd get the ticket. Mother would say, wait for the man to pass you the ticket. You just give the instruction. You don't scream no, that confuses kids. You just give the instruction. You wait for the